Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you and a good Friday evening. If indeed you're watching this on Friday evening, you might be watching it some other day in the future. You might not even be watching it in April 2021. I can't remember what the date was. The 23rd, that's what it is. Is it? Maybe. Hope you're well. My name is Nick and let's have a bit of a chat. Now it's getting quite close now where I'll be, instead of being indoors, we can go for a walk again like we used to do in the past. I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, this camera is starting to degrade. Had it must have had it about 6 or 7 years now. The viewfinder's not working, so it makes it very difficult to delete footage off the hard drive or the disk thing, so it gradually fills up. So I had to do a bit of guesswork by routing it through my computer, which is a little bit dodgy, but it's still sort of working. The battery isn't holding up too much, but indoors we're okay because we're plugged into there. But having said that, I should be getting, touch wood, a tax rebate at some point, and that money be used there. So I hope you are well, hope you've had a good week, hope you've been enjoying the videos. Now I've had quite a few, it's all about tech issues isn't it this time, been having quite a few PC issues, but it's positive. I've been sorting it out. I'd like to keep you in the loop. A lot of people on Twitter helped me as well, so thank you there. PC was, after a Windows update, was running very slowly, so I thought it knocked out some drivers, but just doing some basic maintenance on my computer, it was long overdue. I think it was heading that direction anyway, but things seem to be moving a little bit smoother now. I think one of the mistakes I made, I had a folder on the directly on the desktop which had videos in it, quite a few videos that I used to make stuff and some archive videos as well. And also I had OneDrive activated on startup, so they might have been acting together to try and upload the videos somewhere automatically. Anyway, I moved that folder off. I put a shortcut instead of the actual thing. I've deactivated a load of programs from startup there. I've done some tweaks to Google as well, because when I used the Google Chrome browser, there was quite a lot of background of stuff going on. I think on average, instead of using about 550 megabytes, it's now using about 250. And I've done a few things as well. Now, someone said to me initially that for my graphics card I needed to upgrade from 16 gigabytes to 32, which I thought was overkill, because on the task manager thing you bring up with Control Alt Delete, I had everything running and it only ever went up to maximum about 25% of memory. It was the CPU was having the most of the trouble, but that's it's in balance now anyway, so I think I've got it solved. But I'll need to do at some point a test live stream, maybe at some random point of the day at some point, so I might surprise you, just make sure it's all working again. But touch wood, it might be working a bit better now. So that's essentially what's I've been doing in the week. I haven't had any overtime at work, which is good and bad at the same time. Good that I was able to address this problem that had happened. If I was working 36, 40-hour week, I might not be able to address it. But there we go. Things happen for a reason, don't they? So yeah, as I said, I hope you're enjoying the videos this week. I'll touch on them that we've covered in case you've missed any and you want to go back and watch them. If you're a fan of the channel, you might have watched all of them, you might watch some of them, but I must admit, it takes a long time to get these up, and also, I guess, if you're a busy person, it takes a long time to watch them, all the stuff. So, you know, if you want to watch your favourite ones, that's absolutely fine. Last week we looked at a game heavily influenced by Manic Miner, ZX Spectrum, called Pyraminia. Very like Manic Miner, except you can drop an infinite amount of space without dying. The graphics are exactly the same on the central character, although he's wearing a crash helmet, it would seem. You explore a pyramid. The nasties are unique enough. I broke the game a little bit with a cheat, and I was just going off the map and just teleporting anywhere. So that was quite good, Pyraminia. And the game I really liked as well, which I didn't know about back in the day, was Motos, where essentially it's single screen stages. The idea is you must bump all the enemy off this sort of like board. Then they've got different powers as power-ups you can get, obstacles to avoid, and once you've done so you go on to the next stage. You have to be really clever with your power-ups, don't use them all at once, which I did in order to get a little bit further. So that was the first of one puzzler. A few puzzlers we did. The other one on the ZX Spectrum was Sid Spider. That was a homebrew from 2002. Again, quite basic in stages, but you must collect keys to go through separate doors. So Motos and Sid Spider had those puzzle elements, but the games were different enough from each other, which I thought as well worth a look at. And it seems to be in a week for puzzlers, because on the Commodore Amiga as well, we played Locomotion by Kingsoft, not to get confused with a horrible, horrible game with the same name called Bite Back we also looked at. This one, if you're into train sets, or ever wanted a huge train set, you must direct trains within a certain time span from station A to station B, or station C to station D, or whatever, without crashing them, and you need to get a certain home in time. It's one of those games you can waste quite, well, it's not waste, is it? Use quite a lot of time on without actually realising you're that long into it. Now, we don't come to Atari 2600 games that much. I think once every 2 weeks, I think it alternates with the Mega Drive. This time we looked at a Laser Blast, which is a bit of a classic game, a bit of a basic game, but this time you take control, well, you play the part of the enemy, essentially, the UFO, and you must destroy 3 sort of like bases before they destroy you. I really love the sounds of the Atari 2600 and all the games that they produced, really. I look forward to looking at a few more of them. But what really got me, what would have got me as a kid, is the red and blue laser shows that happen. It reminds me very much of the lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Ben Kenobi back in the day. So nothing to do with the game at all, but it's all about the memories and the thoughts it evokes. And the only other game we looked at, we tend to look at 6 a week there, which I think is plenty. I'd like to do more if I could do, but you know, it's in balance all the time in case something goes wrong, because there's always a techie thing to try and look at. But this game looked very much like the ZX Spectrum counterpart, which I was surprised with, even copying the colour palette. It was Everyone's a Wally by Microgen on the Commodore 64. Now, quite often you can tell the difference immediately on a Commodore 64 game and a ZX Spectrum game, because they've got very different colour palettes. Here, it looks like they tried to do a carbon copy conversion from the Spectrum one. Maybe they should have gone in their own direction, made it a Commodore 64-esque in itself, but you know, it just makes it the same game. It wasn't a bad game on ZX Spectrum, and it's echoed on the Commodore 64. Of course, there's a lot less colour bleed on this version, but the music is there, the movements is there, and I think that's well worth looking at. If you had to push me, what was my favourite game out of all those? Pyraminia, Motos, Locomotion, Laser Blast, Sid Spider, Everyone's Wally. I don't really know. I'd have to go for probably Motos, I'd guess, but it'd be a close one, because I like Locomotion on the Amiga as well. So joint first place, I suppose. Motos on the Spectrum and Locomotion. So we'll come to the members' shout in a little bit, because it's subscribers in particular, the paid membership. Let's not mess around there. It's keeping the channel running. As I say, I work part-time stroke, well, full-time at the moment. It is part-time because the hours have gone right down, but my aim is to do this. Yeah, you've got to be delusioned a little bit, or else you'll never get anywhere. So we'll see how that goes. If you're liking the channel and want to support it a bit more, have a look at a membership, see what that's about, because it'll help me a great deal to try and achieve that aim. And of course, the more time I've got, the better the videos can become, the better equipment we can get, and so forth. So thank you there. Now, often as well, I come to a little bit of news. I think you're tired of hearing my PC issues there. So what's been going on in the news at the moment? Well, I mentioned it before, but this is before it took place. The Mars helicopter called Ingenuity, if you didn't know, on the planet Mars at the moment, quite a few months ago, Perseverance, a rover, landed on there successfully, had a helicopter underneath. Perseverance has ditched the helicopter, left it there. NASA was doing a few bits of testing and stuff. It needed a software update, so it was delayed. But they've done a precursory flight, so it hasn't really gone anywhere. It just flew up about 3 or 4 feet, hovered there and gone back down again, which is a huge success. I think they're now going to plan to do pre-programmed flights across the Mars service and bring some photos back. I think they did bring a photo or test photo when it took off, or some field footage where you can see the shadow of the helicopter underneath. That was good to see. So it was a bit of an epic event, really. I did smile when I was reading that article on the bus on my way home, because that was the first point, although it's a small thing, the first helicopter flight by humans, although it's remotely, on an alien planet. Now, if you think of the Wright brothers and their first flight in hot air ballooning, and then all the way through to here, it is like an epic moment, and it made me think. There's all these things, isn't there, are going to come up. The first man or woman on Mars, the first building on Mars, the first sports event on Mars. You know, lots and lots of stuff. and also as well they did another experiment where they produced a small amount of oxygen by heating up carbon dioxide or something and splitting the component parts on it. Now it was only enough oxygen for a human to breathe for 10 minutes, but it just shows you it can be done with the components that are on Mars. Potentially, although I think it'd be a bit costly, you can produce oxygen. So who'd have thought it? When I was back at school in the 80s, someone said we'd be like possibly searching Mars and looking at life on Mars. I would have thought, wow, that's like absolutely crazy. So look out for that helicopter. It's going to do a few more trips in the coming weeks. Hopefully everything goes okay. Can't wait till they're going to find it at some point, some sort of like signs of fossilised life, I hope, because the rovers have been going around riverbeds. The rocks look very smooth, which show that water flowed through there at some point. So that's going to be very good to see. Okay, so let's come to the memberships then. As a member, you get special perks on the channel, get access to the members section if you want to send me a message any point. If you're on the second tier and above, you can get a shout out of your name or any projects that you're doing. I don't mind shouting those out for you. And thank you to the upper tier as well. Appreciate all the tiers there, because all together it comes together to try and make this dream I'm trying to do a reality. There's quite a lot more I could do in terms of the quality of the thing. We're going about 8 years now, 8.5 years, but only sort of like serious the last 2 years, I suppose, although I put loads and loads and loads of content up there. So thank you to the members. Thank you on the second tier above, Jason Smith, thank you, Squidworth, Stu Who, Nikki S and Claire Johnson, thank you. James O'Grady, I speak to a lot of you on Twitter, I know, so thank you. I mean, most of the comments tend to be through YouTube, but we got sort of like a Twitter community now developing as well, so thank you. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Jenkins7Nick. You might be a Twitterer, you might not be a Twitterer, but I try and keep the main focus on the actual comment section and the live streams when we do them, so thank you. Thank you also to John Roby and Jeffrey Searby, Steve Norman. Now, as you know, Steve does a wonderful blog called retroarcadia.blog, which I seem to touch on each week, and it's well worth having a look at. Gets updated quite regularly. I had a look today. He's covered an arcade game which is an absolute classic, which converted to the ZX Spectrum as well, sharing his memories of that game. It's a vertical shooter. It's 1942 it was called. It also touched on 1943, the Battle of Midway, but we all know, don't we, the Battle of Midway happened in 1942, but you know, both games would have been called 1942 if they did that, so let's not argue with the terminology of those actual games. But Steve does a very good blog again, very detailed blog about that, so check that out as well, and also his archive stuff that he's built up over the last few weeks and months even. Very smart blog there, so well done Steve, keep up the good work. 1942, excellent, a great arcade game, an interesting ZX Spectrum conversion. I think I slightly prefer 1943, but it's a close one, so thank you there. Massive thank you as well to Lemmy Barnett, Steve Q. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your good words. It always lifts me up quite a bit. So thank you, Steve. Phil Hill, Rossi Bossy. Now I mentioned it last time, but it is available on his site now. Rossi, of course, is working on the game Super Pixel. I always get this wrong. Super 3D Pixel Racer. Is that it? I think that is it. But he's working on other projects as we lead into that, because it's a bit of the fine tuning. But a lot of this game is also released a bit more basic. Shares the same music and some of the voice things done by me. It's now available. Went through a few updates due to feedback on Twitter as well. It's Re-Enduro, so have a download of that. Based, of course, on the popular game by Atari. I think it was by Atari. It was on the Atari 2600 anyway, called Enduro. It's got some good sounds in there. He's kept the same track sort of thing, or the same theme as the original Enduro, like the snow, the fog, the night time. It's all about overtaking cars, enough cars so you can get on to the next day. Really well put together. I think the controls from feedback he got were a little bit, what's the word? Bit flighty first of all, but he's nailed those in a lot better. So do that and see what you think of that game. Be good for me if I could like cover that at some point, but it's always time permitting for me. If I could do an extra review of that, I certainly would do. So that's Re-Enduro, a good racing game, excellent. Thank you as well. Moving on to thank you Chono Baggy, Jason Holmes, Andrew Gibson and Gray Holt too. Thank you fellas and everyone, thank you very, very much. And 5 of you on the top tier, so excellent. Hopefully in the months to come or years to come, you'll be joined by more people as well. I'll be able to offer more things when my time becomes more plentiful for that actual tier group as well, like behind the scenes footage and things like that, because that was always the aim. So thank you for your patience, guys. You were the trendsetters in that area, and I'll never forget that. Hopefully as it moves up. So thank you. So a big thank you on that upper tier to Martin Rymel. I will say that from Martin, his friends, mentioned it a couple of times, his friend's got a game called Heroic Echoic. I'll put the links up on the screen. It's a real cool card game. There, I think it's got a Facebook group. They're still in action, and Instagram as well. No, I'm not sure how active that is. The game is available on Amazon, so if you want to type in Heroic Echoic just to see what it looks like, then do so. It's based on superheroes. You have to win the other person's cards. Heroic Echoic. Now Martin didn't ask me to shout that this week, but I'll shout it anyway. There we go. Thank you very much. Big thank you to Richard Mitten. Thank you, sir. Really, really appreciate your support. Is always welcome. Thank you. As is Graham Vegke. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. There, so all your support has been awesome, especially over the last few years there. Thank you to Tom. Thank you, Tom, and also as well to Julie Monkton. Now Julie's got the same site she wants me to shout out. It's schools reading. I'll put the link up in case I get it wrong. Schools reading 70sbooks.weebly.com. Let's check it on here in case I get it wrong. Schools Weebly 70s.com. Bear with me 2 seconds. I should know this off by heart now. There we go. School reading 70sbooks.weebly.com. Now there's a blog attached to this now, so you can interact with that /blog. Julie says that it's got old school books there and toys, influenced quite a bit by, well, my mystery videos, item videos I did years and years ago. If you want to check that, I think it might be in the comedy section. There we go. Every couple of days, taking an item from her childhood and writing about it. So far she's got a nursery rhyme book, a lovely illustrated dictionary, and Kinder toys are coming up as well. She's got a comment section there, so we want to drop Julie a comment after reading that. I'm sure she'll be pleased and respond to that. So thank you everyone for watching the videos. As I say, I try and keep it entertaining with the time I've got available. There'll be a couple of Select Spectrum games on the channel tomorrow. Members of the channel will know what that is, so thank you. And there'll be a couple of videos on Sunday, and also on Sunday for the members there'll be the members video going up, let you know what's going ahead in the following week, which I've got planned for you. So have a good weekend. I'm at work on Saturday and Sunday, but not for many hours because there wasn't that many hours available. Hopefully it's a bit different next week because it could get a bit well, interesting, so to speak. So have a good one. Take care of yourself. Drink lots of water. That's a good tip. What else? Okay. Don't talk to pterodactyls, and don't jump into erupting volcanoes. So that's all my tips at the top. Until next time, take great care of yourself and are very fond. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, E.